YouTube, and tonight I've got a little treat for you. I actually just got in my Frontline Gaming and TableWar gaming mat. So I figured, you know what, let's crack this bad boy open and let's compare it to one of my standbys, the old Zuzzy Mat. So what I've got here is I've got a couple of 4x4 mats. I'm going to be comparing the, I guess this is called the Sulfur Wastes, to basically the snow mat for Frontline Gaming. Now, a little bit of background before we get started here. I purchased both of these mats, and I am a long-time user of the Zuzzy mats. I think at one point I owned 20 or so. I use them regularly for gaming. I host gaming, I demo gaming, I run tournaments. So the Zuzzy mat has long been a standby for me, and I am still quite the fan of the Zuzzy mat. But today what we're going to do is we're going to actually compare these two mats, and I'm going to try to give my unbiased, experienced opinion on these two mats, and we'll just see how it goes, okay? So first up, let's talk pricing. Now, the Zuzzy mat is actually cheaper, size per size, and we're talking about the 6x4 and the 4x4. The Zuzzy mat is coming in cheaper than the the Frontline Gaming mat. That said, quality on the Frontline map is fantastic, so I wouldn't, go one way or the other just based on price alone. We're going to look at a couple of different factors here. One of the other factors we're going to look at is transport. So, historically, the Zuzzy mat, you would transport in, like one of these basically cardboard tubes, and you have a plastic bag and wrap a rubber band around it, and that's how you would transport your Zuzzy mat around. And that's fine, it's not a bad option. I actually went with dowels to transport mine around with, so that's good. The Frontline Gaming mat actually uses a canvas bag with a little clothes tie at the top, which was really cool. Now, the plus side is this is a much more durable bag, and it's a little bit better looking. You can also kind of fold it a little bit when you're carrying it, which is nice. Gives it a little more portable option. But the downside is it's hard. It makes the mat harder to roll up because you don't have the that stiff piece here in order to roll the mat around in. But it's give and take. It's whatever you need. You can always go buy a dowel and wrap the mat around that. So a couple of different storage options and transport options for both of these mats. Now, let's take a look here at the thickness of the mats. So as it turns out, they're fairly similar in thickness. The Frontline mat is probably a little bit thicker, probably coming in closer to 1/8 of an inch, and the Zuzzy mat, because it's a textured mat, has some thinner spots and some thicker spots, so it's really kind of hard to say. Overall, though, the Frontline mat thicker, and I believe to be a little bit more durable. As far as customization, though, I'm going to have to give it back to the Zuzzy mat, because the Zuzzy mat has a couple of things going for it. One, paintable, which is cool. Some people need that. Some people want to just buy their mat and throw down a game on it, and the Frontline mat is perfect for that. However, the Zuzzy has a paintable option. So, for example, this particular mat I own probably 6 to 8 copies of, and I painted it all different kinds to match whatever terrain set I've got going. I've done everything from snow to red rock to this is just basically a standard mountain type pattern that I've used. And it's a plus or minus, it's whatever you need. So I needed a little bit more customization in terms of the ability to paint. And then the next thing I'm going to talk about is sizing. Because currently right now, the Frontline map only comes in 6x4, I believe, or 4x4, which are great. Those are great standard sizes for most games like, say, GW or Privateer Press. A lot of other games play on a 4x4 as well. For me, it's going to be Anima Tactics, large games of Anima Tactics, Saga, maybe large games of Relic Knights. Could play that on the Frontline map. The Zuzzy mat actually comes in quite a few different sizes, and I think right now I would give the advantage to Zuzzy in terms of its customization, because not only does it come in several different sizes, you can actually cut these down. And I've actually taken some of my, for example, my 3x3 Zuzzy mats, and I've cut them down to 30 inch by 30 inch to fit for Eldorado. So just a hint for you guys, play some Eldorado. Let's see some 30 by 30 Frontline mats, because I would love that. So customization, off to Zuzzy. That said, let's look at these mats. I mean, this is, the Zuzzy mat's going to come in, you know, gray. It smells kind of like a Halloween mask from, you know, 1988. It's the rubber. And one thing I'll say about the Zuzzy mat is, even though it is rubber, it still has a little bit of memory to it. And you don't really want memory in a mat. You might see those in vinyl mats or some of the other, like the previous mats, where a corner will just stay folded for a while, or you may end up with creases in the mat. And although it tends to wear out, or it tends to flatten out quite well in a Zuzzy mat, I am going to ding it a little bit on that, because I have had mats that kind of crease up on edges or things like that. So I'm going to ding it a little bit on the memory. The Frontline mat, even though this one did have a crease in it, you see zero crease. You put this on a flat table, it's going to be zero crease. So it's fantastic. And then finally, look at the quality here of the Frontline mat. It is fantastic. It photographs really well. It's a beautiful looking piece of terrain here. You can play games on it fine without having anything. And then, you know, when you have modular pieces of terrain, you have a nice flat surface here. You don't have, you know, like the Zuzzy mat. One downside to having this texture is that if you try to put narrow, tall pieces of terrain, sometimes those will tip over because of the texture. So it's something to bear in mind. Is you know, the thickness of the mat, the art, fantastic on Frontline. I'm going to give them the nod here on the basically just break out and play immediately. They're fantastic for a number of games. They look great. You can throw your terrain on it. You can even spill drinks on it and it would be okay. Repair is something I'm concerned about. Not that I've given, you know, I just got this today, so I haven't really given this very many miles, but I am concerned about, you know, if this does tear, and I don't think it will. I mean, it's really, really strong material. But if it were to tear, if it were to stain, how do you clean it up? Especially a white mat like this. You know, if I were to end up, somebody spilled like a Coke on it and it dried up overnight, I think I could wash it off. I mean, there's a nice, there's kind of a finish applied to the surface of this, which I think would make it easier to clean up. The Zuzzy mat, it's actually easier to disguise, because you can actually, if you mess something up on this type of texture, you could probably just clean it off, and, you know, if you needed to, you could even touch it up and make it look like that was intentional. So slight advantage there, but also a cleanability aspect I think that you've got in the Frontline mat. So overall, what am I going to do? Because I'm a regular user of Zuzzy. I love this mat. I personally am going to say I have room for both of these in my repertoire, and I plan on using both of these. I think that this has its place when, you know, I need a particularly flat surface, I need great artwork, and I need a mat that I can actually fold up and carry with me. The Frontline mat is going to be the go-to mat for that, for my 4x4. The Zuzzy mat is going to be a great mat simply because it matches my terrain. I painted terrain and I painted the mat to go with it. So I have a set ready to go with the Zuzzy mat. So bottom line is, these are both excellent products. I highly endorse both of them. I think for the convenient gamer that's looking for a little bit more durability and wants to get something on the table that looks fantastic, Frontline and TableWar, way to go. Good job, guys. Good job, Doug and team over at Frontline and TableWar. The Zuzzy mat, still a good mat. Still a good mat, and I don't want to turn people away from Zuzzy. They make great products. They take a little while to get to you, but trust me, it's worth the wait. And it's just great to have both of these products. So really excited to have both of these in the repertoire. And we're coming up on 10 minutes, so I think I'm going to end my review here. Hope this meant something to somebody, and Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.